Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and peace is hard. The good news is therapy works. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships or at work, not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And special offer to ImmaLetYouFinish listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/ImmaLeTU, all lowercase. That's betterhelp.com/ImmaLeTU. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
What up, everybody? It's I'ma Let You Finish, show number 86. We're your hosts, Barbara Mandrell and LaToya Jackson.
Wait a minute.
Which one is LaToya?
I want to be Martina McBride, I've decided.
Oh, I love Martina McBride.
I love Martina McBride.
But I'm obsessed with Barbara Mandrell. I'm obsessed with Barbara. Because, listen, you can
and the Mandrell sisters, or just her?
Well, no, because, I grew up on country music. My mom,
I know that.
And during the 70s and the 80s,
Barbara, huge.
And she was huge. And then she started having those songs that kind of crossed over the pop. So she was all over the radio. So we'd be sitting in the car singing, "You can eat crackers in my bed," anytime. Or sleeping single with a double bed. Or woman to woman. Do you have the time?
The day we're taping, which is on a Tuesday, it's thanks, guys, International Women's Day. You throw us a fucking day. Yay.
It's the month. Well, it's also International Women's Month. So you also get a
it's
day.
Women's History Month.
Oh. Well, listen, we get Black History Month.
We get the month with 31 days.
Well, we get the month. We get a short month that doesn't even have a day in it. We're like, today's the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So yay, International Women's Day. Thanks, I guess.
Well, you're a woman and you're international. So
I am international. I'm internationally known, and I've been known to rock a microphone. Mm-hmm. I am both.
And you know what else you're not? In jail in Russia, because you have
I was going to say. I was going to say that's a horrible but apropos segue. Okay. All right, first off, let me preface this by saying I don't want any Americans to be in jail. Anyway, I really would not like to have people the situation in Russia, even before this monstrosity that's going on, it was not a good place to be in jail.
No.
It's not a good place. And I also believe that drugs should be legal. But newsflash, they're not legal in certain countries. Russia being one of them. So, Courtney, just for sake of argument, if I were a 6'9",
kind of sort of that whole region of the world, except for like Holland.
Yeah, exactly.
And not all Holland.
And maybe Denmark.
And maybe just like Amsterdam.
Yeah, maybe like the more, but not a totalitarian government where your leader is poisoning people and they. All right. So here's the thing: if I were a 6'9", black, tattooed woman with dreadlocks who was a lesbian, what would be the one thing I wouldn't do? Let me think. Oh, I know. Have drugs in my bag. So Brittney Griner, or as Courtney likes to call her.
Breonna Stewart. I was like, we need to talk about Breonna Stewart.
And I was like, all right, I've been working with Courtney for several years now. I think by Breonna Stewart, he means Brittney Griner.
Right. Fun fact. People, I know a lot of shit, and my answer will be right. But getting you there, I might tell you to take two lefts when there's one left and a right.
No, you'll eventually get there. But unlike most men, Courtney will listen to driving instructions when you tell him, no, Courtney. It's not. Well, anyway, She's in a Russian jail, which I don't know is like Midnight Express level horrible.
Well, and now we're finding out she actually got arrested on February 5th. So she's been in a Russian jail for over a month. The story just came out last week, but she's been in the Russian jail since February 5th.
And she plays over there, right?
Yeah,
she's in the WNBA.
She's in the WNBA, and because they paid them like shit, most of those young ladies, and they have to go overseas to really where they make more money and supplement their income in the offseason. For the last 7 years, I believe she's been playing on Russian.
Right, overseas. Oh, look, it's a horrible...
makes me feel like something shady's happening here. You know what I mean? Because she's American.
Wait a minute, Russia? Shady? Right.
Yeah.
Courtney, you're such a cynic.
Yeah.
You think the timing,
the timing is very odd. They know who she is. She's a star of football, of basketball over there. She's been playing in their league for 7 years.
Yeah, she's huge. Yeah.
And she's a big international WNBA star. They know who she is. It almost seems like right now, it's just really unfortunate that, I can't say what she had in the bag because we don't know that. It could be the truth. It could not be the truth.
Exactly.
But it's a really unfortunate situation that she is in jail and has been there for over a month. And, the WNBA, everybody's saying we're trying to get her out. But the thing is, if she did have drugs in her bag, I think that we tend to want to apply American laws to other countries, and it's really difficult.
Right.
Do you remember what it took when, I believe it was Naomi Campbell's 40th birthday party? Remember, she was having that big 40th birthday party.
I wasn't invited, so I didn't really pay attention to her because Naomi, I don't know what happened with me and Naomi. She doesn't really reach out anymore. Well,
when you reviewed her album Baby Woman and you did not give it a stellar, it did in the UK and Japan, I believe.
All right, so it never came out.
But when it flopped really badly there, the US plan for it was completely scrapped.
Still have the cassette.
I still have the CD and I have it on MP3. To me, whenever I'm feeling bad about myself and I'm feeling really upset and depressed, I put that on and I'm like, no matter how you're feeling, it's never going to be.
You're a better singer than Naomi Campbell.
It's never going to be. I remember she also had the book too. She wrote the novel, Swan.
Yeah,
it all came out around the same time.
Well, the point being is that poor Brittney, look, yes, Americans tend to think that they drag the Constitution and our laws around with them.
What I was going to say is back to, remember, it was Dallas Austin. Do you remember she was having a party
yes. And a big Republican guy came in and got him out.
It took a bunch of people to get him out because, they had to call Bill. It was like Bill Clinton and a bunch of people because... And they end up getting out because they had the shared publisher. They both had the same publisher. And they had to go through a whole bunch of shit because over there's like a zero tolerance policy for any kind of drugs. But, so I hope for her
me too.
that they can work this out because
look, we're essentially at war with Russia right now.
There's no essentially. We completely Russia's at war with the entire world. Except for China.
Right. So it's really, the whole thing is, what I read, and then we can move. I'm sure it's true that China asked Putin to lay back on the invasion until the Olympics were over.
That makes sense. Well,
totally makes sense.
Well, if you go back and you look at the last couple of times that Russia has invaded someplace, including Crimea, it was right after an Olympics ended.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always right after it, and then they kind of make whatever.
Anyway,
we wish that she gets out. I hope she didn't have drugs in her bag because if she did, that's with this war going on. I
wouldn't be surprised if we suddenly see her marched out in front of cameras saying like anti-Ukraine shit. So it is unfortunate. All right, let's switch to a woman.
What do you think about? What do you think about these? So Dua Lipa's now been hit by a second lawsuit about this song.
I'm confused by them.
Well, the first one, right? Okay, what's the name of the group?
It's for Levitating. It's only for one song.
It's for Levitating. Hold on. Now, what's the name of the group? Hold on. I'm going to look it up right now while we talk.
And I will say this. One of the people who is also suing, Miguel Bosé, I have actually seen him perform in Spain. The first time I ever went to Europe, I went for a guitar festival in Sevilla, And he was one of the performers. He's massively huge there, and he's very cute, though whatever. And so Miguel Bose.
So the first one was filed March 1st by a Florida reggae group called Article Sound System. And they say it lists from their relatively obscure 2017 track, Live Your Life. Okay. So that complaint has little specific detail beyond claiming that the two tracks are so similar that it was highly unlikely that Levitating was created independently. Now, the second lawsuit is more detailed. That was filed March 4th in New York. And songwriters L. Russell Brown and Sandy Linzer accused Dua of copying their 1979 song, Wiggle and Giggle All Night, and the 1980 song, Don Diablo, two tracks dating from the disco era. Their claim is the opening melody to Levitating was a duplicate of the melody to their songs. There's some similarity in the rhythmic delivery of the opening phrases and in the verses before the melodies diverge.
All right. So, I listened to
so now they're saying that part played a major role.
It's just the intro, the intro. All right, okay. First off, influences are everywhere. People hearing stuff all the time.
Interpolations, all of those.
Yeah, I listened to the Don Diablo track opposed to her. I mean, for me. Mm-hmm. You would really have to be pushing it to say it was lifted. It's not a Robin Thicke or an Ed Sheeran situation where it's like, oh my God, I can't tell which song is which.
Right.
My hunch, and this is based on nothing, is if any of the songs were possibly heard, it might have been the two songs that are
the disco track,
the newer song.
Oh, the newer song, the
Florida right? I mean, that's kind of like, I was at a Club Med and I heard a band playing and they were playing something. Why did it take the Levitating came out 2 years ago? Why did it take them so long to do these suits? That's what I've never understood that.
Yeah, right. It's very
and
weird.
It's not like she's in a tour. She's on a tour.
She's on a tour, but TikTok, right? Because people on TikTok, creators are like, oh, this sounds like this, and putting tracks together.
Right.
And I think that makes people start to say, oh, you ripped off my track. And I believe with the reggae song, there's some lyrics that are kind of cross-pollinated. I don't know. I feel like our legal system just makes it too easy for everybody to sue for everything. Now, with that being said, if I created a piece of art and, I'm some small band, but I feel like I'm hearing this major record sound like my record, what would I do? I don't know. But it's a weird one, right?
It's a hard one. And I will, one of the other problems, and this is not saying whether it's true or not, is the way that songs are written today. They're written by committee. You have one person doing the hook, one person doing the bridge, one person doing the under. So in theory, all of these people could be listening to different things and then throwing all together, do what works on the lyrics, and then you have a song. Right.
And the real deal, T, is, there used to be a time, when I would think, well, how have they even heard that? But I just know from working in the music industry, and if you have prolific producers or writers, they know, and you will find and hear the most obscure things. You don't know where inspiration can come from.
And especially with the internet, where you literally could just I have a feeling
at your fingertips.
I have a feeling that you could literally hum a melody into the interwebs and it'll find something that sounds like that.
And as it's
hard.
It's just so slick because it also comes with success, right? Of course, now she's really successful. And this is where all the lawsuits come. All of those. Like when I was working with, I worked with some pretty big artists. And when I was doing, working at one company in particular where I had a bunch of people that I was responsible for on my roster. And I was also doing all the dance remixes. People all the time, and this is a rule, and I still follow this rule to this day. People all the time would say, we want to send tracks. We want to sing this. And my answer was always, I'm glad I got this lesson early. It was always no. We do not take unsolicited tracks.
Right.
And I won't even listen to them because the lawsuits come so easy. I've seen that up close and people like, I sent this and you listen, but we don't We would not take any.
Don't. Oh, you go to them. They don't come to you.
Yes, and we tell people we're not going to listen to it and do not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And to this day, when people try to send me certain things, it all depends. If it's somebody I know and they're like, I want your opinion, that's one thing, but nothing unsolicited, because then, right, the truth of the matter.
There's a paper trail. Then there's a paper trail.
And the truth of the matter is, you could hear a bunch of stuff that's unsolicited, right?
Yeah.
And that's in your head.
Yeah.
And you might not think about that or not, and you're going to create some other stuff, and a melody and things come to your mind. And I just don't want any cross-pollination to come back and people to say, well, I sent that track for submission, they didn't use it, and now this mix has a section that sounds like something in my track. Well,
we'll see how this plays out. I mean, it's you know, I heard
it's du jour now, right? Isn't this what we see now? Once you become famous,
I don't say it's du jour. I mean, it's been going on.
Yeah.
George Harrison, my sweet Lord. I mean, it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just that now, as we said, it's so much easier to find the source and disguise the source than it was. I think that's the problem. It's so much easier to be, I mean, you know, George Harrison thing, I mean, that was an obvious, give me a break. I mean, that's, you know, you've taken the song.
Right.
But it's just easier. Yeah. I mean, you can literally go on that global radio thing and just hear something, go, ooh, that's cool. All right, we'll see how it plays out. But on a much more, we're so excited, you know, Glastonbury lineup. Do you have the list in front of you? It's phenomenal lineup.
Yeah, it is. But the only thing we care about
Yeah, there's 9 million bands.
There's 9
Literally,
million bands.
The Beatles are getting back together.
It's
there's 9 million bands, but there's only one band.
It's Billie Eilish. It's, Paul McCartney. It's a bunch of people. They're all great. That's great. Kanye. The group we care about the most is Pet Shop Boys.
The only group.
So I don't really. Oh, and Diana Ross. Diana Ross has the legend slot, right? That'll be great. There'll be Wind. There'll be Hair. She'll sing all her hits. Diana Ross.
There'll be hair. That's in her press. I think that's in her press kit.
When you read the press kit, it says there's going to be wind, hair. She's going to sing all her hits. But Pet Shop Boys, who keep teasing us, they've not done. Where's their festival in New York? There's been 90 governors' balls. There's been 90.
They're too big for the governor's ball. Is not their audience. That's not their audience.
But we're talking about for the U.S. though. You know what I'm saying?
They're doing the tour.
Yes, but they're doing the tour over there too, but they do festival dates over there and they've not done a festival here.
I think honestly, they are not the audience. They have a much different status in England than they do here. I mean, we know that people love Pet Shop Boys here, but for most people, Pet Shop Boys begins. I think the last song they know is Domino Dancing. So they have a much different status over there. They're viewed as a legacy act over here. They're touring. They're doing Barclays.
But they sell their tours out here. They're still very popular.
So they will come. They're just not a festival group over here. Festivals are different here. I can't see them doing a festival. And maybe they don't want to do festivals. Their shows are very expensive to mount. They don't get up there and just sing. They are like extravaganza. I mean, if I'm Neil Tennant and I just feel like, fuck it, I don't want to do a festival. I don't want to be in the middle of the desert in April. You know? But
there are festivals in Chicago, there's festivals in New York, and they do festivals all over Europe. They can do a festival here.
I don't care. I want to see them.
I would love to see them outside in New York, giving me a full moment. And, New York City.
You can see them indoors in New York, giving you a full moment with better sound.
Yes, but you know what? And you know what? Listen, I'm not a big festival outdoor person, but I would actually like to see them at a festival.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that energy would be crazy, just crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that as a person who motherfucking hates festivals. I'm not into it. I'm not into the crowds. I'm not into dirt. Don't touch me.
Yeah, I'm not into having to change my attention from stage to stage to stage.
I'm not a porta potty person. I need an actual bathroom.
I don't need any of that. Yeah.
But yeah, so
Pet Shop Boys.
The only thing we care about is Pet Shop Boys because
that's the only thing we care about. You could just stop the sentence there. It's the only thing we care about.
But the lineup seems really good for it. You know what I mean? They've got...
Yeah, they always have great lineups. I think it's everybody's star.
They always have great lineups. It's really, 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 really...
I think Glastonbury sets the standard. Well, they sort of set the standard for festivals, first off, because that was a very European thing. We didn't have them really in this country. But they set the standard
they've got Kendrick Lamar. They have Angelique Kidjo, Arlo Parks.
Yeah.
Burna Boy, Big Thief, Celeste, Charlie XCX, Doja Cat. I mean, it's everybody's on this
list.
List.
I think it's going to be great. But,
yeah.
Jesus
and Mary Chain, your favorite, Leon Bridges.
My favorite. Okay, I may have to rethink my Okay, Courtney, you've known me for quite some time, and you do know that sometimes there is absolutely no rationale for my lack of use for somebody. It's solely based on, I don't know, his shoelaces are untied. And that's enough to keep me going for years on somebody. So I saw him a couple times on TV and he just annoyed me. And so I have kept that annoyance. But now I'm reading good things about him. I may have to get over it, blah, 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 blah. So I'm sure that Leon Bridges is sitting there, or Bridge is sitting there relieved that Amy Linden has lifted the fatwa. This is my lifting the fatwa stage. I mean, there are certain bands that'll never happen. There are certain groups I will go to my, hopefully very long from now, grave having zero use for. But I will try.
That sounds like me and that rap guy from Chicago.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this documentary is fascinating.
It is, if you
really
care.
Is.
I tried.
I know. I'm just saying it's a
Did you watch all 3 parts?
I am mid-third part. But I am saying, seriously, we have the same opinion about him, and the new album is getting trashed every which way but loose. Trashed. But taking him out of the equation it's just a fascinating piece of filmmaking. It really is. It really is. What are you doing? Okay, Courtney is now...
I need a facelift.
He's trying to give his face a facelift. You do know no one can see you except for me.
Right. I need a facelift, I think.
And you do know that right now I am like swollen with sinuses because yesterday in New York, it was like 525 degrees, bright sunshine, and tomorrow it's going to snow.
Right.
So, and I'm at the age now where I can literally feel the barometric pressure dropping, and I'm like... Oh, fuck. I'm turning into one of those old ladies and go, I can feel it in my bones.
Maybe some Botox. Do you think I need Botox?
No, don't ever put it. It's fucking poison.
Or maybe like a filler, like some fillers.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Stop. You look great.
No, it's like,
stop.
No, because I saw these people. And
my God. Like, you're a crazy person. You would look crazy. Stop it.
I know. Come back and be like, no, I didn't do anything.
Courtney, why are your eyebrows on top of your head?
Right. Why you I didn't do a thing. What are you talking about?
Why do you look shocked all the time?
I'll be like, I have allergies.
Right. Yeah, you look shocked all the time. I don't understand what's going on. Nothing I've said should be new to you. Okay, speaking of shocking, Morris Day, what the fuck? This Morris Day Prince.
Okay, now here's the...
My cold medicine is just kicked in, by the way, so I'm just letting everybody know.
This is some bullshit. Now, I guess was it Comica Bank? Right now, Comica Bank is...
I've never even heard of that.
They are the Prince estate right now.
Are you talking about they have a big stadium, don't they?
Right. Some shit. They are the estate, but in a couple of months, because they were brought in because Prince didn't have a will to do all of this shit. So... that's actually in the last steps about to be settled, and the heirs all going to know whatever they're going to do. And Primary Wave bought 50% of the Prince estate. So all of that's going to be turned over. They're getting their 50%, and then whatever's going to happen with the heirs this year, the bank is going to be out of it. But right now, the bank is the estate. So Prince owned like Vanity 6, that name and trademark. Apollonia 6, the name and trademark, The Time, all of those things he produced. And before he died, when he got all his masters back, he also got the masters back for all of those albums that he produced on Warner Brothers for his proteges. So the estate owns all of that. You know what I mean? So they evidently... and they're trying to deny this. They're like, that's not true. We were working with them. I was like, well, what's they're working with? Let them use the name. What's the problem? And they supposedly told him that he cannot... Told Morris Day that he cannot perform using the name Morris Day and The Time. The Time part is the issue. He can use Morris Day. That's his name. But The Time. So he's... You know how he could get around it? He could just change the spelling of The Time. Right. But... so now you have the heirs of the Prince heirs are saying, let him use it. Yes. You have Primary Wave that owns 50% of the estate that's going to be turned over to them to start doing a little shit later this year. They want him to use it. So, and the bank is trying to deny it, but I'm like, well, why would Morris Day fucking lie about that? This is the part of the music industry that I hate, that these corporations that have nothing to do with music come in, and they're money people, right? It's like it's like buying Taylor Swift. It's like some consortium owning Taylor Swift's masters. They could give a fuck about
it's
the artist.
It's just an investment.
It's an investment and what to do, and it really it's the thing that lets you know how much music artists are really treated like shit and disrespected. It's like you don't own your work. Somebody else can tell you can't use your own fucking name. And it's just really, I just find it incensing.
Jam and Lewis Jam and Lewis did none of the production?
Yes, but they were hired by Prince. You know,
got it. I mean? So they were basically like hired guns.
Hired musicians, right. You know, it was his thing. You know, so
no, it's ridiculous.
It's really ridiculous. And I hate the idea that artists have to go to some consortium to work out using the name that they've been using and performing under for decades. I'm sorry.
I mean, like their rivalry in Purple Rain aside, I think that Prince would have said, especially someone who has had his work taken away from him.
What Morris said is Prince never had issues. It's like, do your thing.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. All right. So you want to intro the bloggers thing? Because it makes my head explode, this whole...
You know, we ignored the whole... I won't even say his name and give him or his platform a fucking a place on this show. But I'm going to need you audience members to just understand...
Are you talking about blogs, starts with a J, ends with an E?
Yeah, blogs... These bloggers are not fucking journalists. As I'm sitting here with a music journalist and music writer, there's a difference between somebody who actually, listen, gossip, who doesn't love a piece of juicy gossip?
We love gossip.
That doesn't make you a journalist. And overhearing something and deciding to tell the world that the Queen of England is dead and doubling down on it, being like, I'm never wrong, is like, or the chick Tasha K, right?
And that's the one that is honestly more problematic than.
Well, no, I think telling the Queen of England, telling everybody the Queen of England is dead.
It was just such a crazy lane.
And then doubling down on like, I'm never wrong. You guys just wait and see. She's dead.
Didn't he call it like the royal space or something? Like if you knew if you watched one episode of The Crown, you would know that that's not the way you refer to them. But the woman Tasha K is the one that just completely slandered Cardi B, right?
And then now went to court, went to trial, lost. She owes her $4 million. And now is going on this whole thing like she's a victim. It's like, you're not a victim. You're also not a journalist. What you are is a person who has a camera and you get online and that is fine. But I think if you're going to say that somebody is a drug addict and you're going to talk about somebody having a venereal disease and put those things out there as fact, then you should be held accountable. Yes, there is absolutely freedom of the press and there's absolutely free speech. But the part that everybody seems to leave out is there is also responsibility for what comes out of your mouth.
Well, not anymore. I mean, that's the thing.
But actually there is, because now
people are not feeling that. Listen, we had several things. I mean, you don't have to go to J school to be a journalist, but the thing about it is that most reputable magazines and newspapers have fact checkers.
Yeah.
There's a problem in real journalism in that they fired a lot of editors, and you have younger people. I read stuff all the time, and I'm like, no, just facts about musicians, or just that's one problem. So if a blogger, there are some people who blog who are journalists. There are people who do blogs who are journalists. But a blogger, first off, it's a made-up term, okay? It's you write a blog. You're not blogging. It's like journaling or juicing. These are not real words. Okay. No one is looking over your shoulder. So you basically have people who have never been told they're wrong, a whole generation of people who have always been told they're right, who always get a trophy no matter what they do, who take no personal responsibility for anything, anything. Right. So if this person, and they're rewarded for it because he gets to go on Love and Hip Hop, or this one gets to have sponsorship. Mm-hmm. So nobody really cares. I mean, it's ridiculous. Some of the claims that this woman made against, there's a whole sub-universe of these people that I frankly don't even know about. I know who Jason Lee is, but I frankly don't even know about it until something stupid happens. And you're like, at some point you have to look at the audience going, why are you looking at this woman? How is she any more credible than the crazy guy on the A train? Because she has a camera and a good internet connection.
Right.
So there is a kind of, it drives me nuts as someone who, and all the people who take their job seriously, who try to get their facts straight. Yeah, gossip is great. We all love gossip. But look, if it's in the Daily Mail or it's sources close to it's usually kind of like not true. But this is just ridiculous. How do you know she has a venereal disease unless you're sitting there with your face up in her when she's in the stirrups, for Christ's sake?
My thing is,
it's just so
and I think that you need to be really careful when you start talking about people's stuff. Like, listen, when you start talking about things that are going on with people's health and their body, I just feel like, you've opened yourself up, and you don't get to be some victim. You lied. It was proven in court. You said yourself you lied. You made shit up for clout. You got your clout. Now you got to pay for it. And you don't have $4 million.
I have no use
You're
for
not
that.
A victim. You're not. No. You're not a victim.
And you're also going up against somebody, in Cardi, not that.
And I hope Cardi keeps going. I'm like,
me too.
I'm like, keep going. Because the truth of the matter is, you want to lie on people? Great. You want to make up stories? Great. It is your right. But that person has a right also, not just because they're famous, to sit back and just say, oh, that just comes with the job. No, she has a right to defend herself. And guess what? Cardi's like, you better find my money. You better find my money because I want it.
You can't just say it. It can't just be because I said so.
Right.
It can't just be that. If you're accusing somebody of something, you have to have more than, well, I heard. I've heard a lot of things.
If you said it, that's my point.
I've heard a lot of things.
And that's where I get back to the journalism thing. I really wish people read more again. You know what I mean? Because I wish there were editors. Yeah. I wish there were people who were, checking things and, we could do a whole 5 hours. I wish there were people who knew more than something that's directly in front of them. I wish there were people who, because they love music, go back and listen to the things that influence them, influence the artist. I wish there were people who read books. I wish there were people who had some, but we live in a sensationalistic society where we live in a country where people think that a man who lost the election won the election. Right.
Okay.
Like watching Bill Barr he's all over this week because he wrote this book talking about Trump lied and all of this and that. But if he was going to run in 2022.
Yeah. So we live in a country where
I'm looking at him. So you just talked about how this man lied and everything he did, it was destructive and it was terrible. But you would vote for that again over another party. That lets you know we're just sitting in a big pile of shit and everybody's just
and it's also because Bill Barr is a fundamentalist Catholic and that's
but there are a lot of people who are feeling that way in this country, and it's like I'll take that lie and everything else, and I know all of this is wrong, but I'll put it there again because I just don't like the other side.
Well, we discussed this, and then if you ever want to see the genius, and I use this word very sarcastically, of the Republican Party, facets of the Republican Party and Fox News. 3 weeks ago, their talking heads were going on and on about how Ukraine, get over it, just submit, deal with it. And now they're trashing Biden for supporting Putin, which is not happening. But, people need to smarten up in this country. They're stupid. And you know what? Democracy is not a given. And we need to smarten up.
You know what upsets me? There used to be a couple of things we all could agree on in this country. And Russia was one of them. And now the fact that we can't even, that was one thing from the time, I'm pretty sure, from the time I was in school, there's a couple of things that have been always consistent. The fighting in the Israel, Palestine,
the Middle East.
Yeah, the Middle East. My entire life, that's been a conflict.
Yeah, me too.
And that Russia hated us and we hated them. My entire life. And it was something Americans could agree on. Now, all of a sudden, I see these people like Putin. I'm like, what fucking... Okay.
I can tell you.
We hate each other that much in this country that now we can't even agree on shit. Like, we used to all agree racism is bad, but now that's just like, I guess that's not bad because motherfuckers are sitting back acting like that's not a problem. I look at this country sometimes and I'm like, what crack are we on?
It's across the world. Ugh. People don't realize what democracy means, and they don't realize that democracy. We have a lot of problems in this country, and also Putin, is very, 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 very rich, and he has a bunch of very, very, very rich people behind him, and that's basically it. People don't know what's going on there. They don't realize the amount of oppression. They don't know what's going on in Hungary. They don't know what's going on in Poland, and frankly, most Americans don't care because we only care what's in front of us. And they're whining. Look, I don't drive, but they're whining about the price of gas. Well, you know why the price of gas is going up? Because we're trying to keep people from being slaughtered. And people are being slaughtered, and people who look like you, Americans, so you should be more sympathetic, All right. TV.
Speaking of slaughter. Speaking of a massacre. I wanted it. I was ready for it. Everybody knows how I feel about it. So they said it was coming back. And I was like, it's coming back. I'm so excited. It was a nice Thursday night. It was 7:59. I sat down with my bottled water and flavorless cereal that tastes like cardboard that I was eating dry in a bowl. And I was like, it is the new return of my favorite show, Law and Order. And as the show started, I was like, I'm so excited. And when the show ended, I was like, what the fuck was that piece of shit?
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
I only made it through 3/4 of the first episode. It's terrible.
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 I'm just
terrible.
I'm like.
Terrible. And let me say one more time. Terrible.
It's the worst.
It makes the reboot of Sex and the City look like Masterpiece Theater.
I thought that In Just Like That was a piece of shit, but oh no.
No,
that's like Academy Awards worth.
No, it's Academy Award
compared to fucking this reboot of Law and Order.
No, it's awful.
It's the worst piece. It's almost like it's like pantomime.
It's just they should have. It's like a hologram of. They should have just left well enough alone. First off, okay, I cannot deal with. Like I said, I only went. They have like. It's such a cliche at this point. The white Irish cop who plays by his own rules. Oh, Dios mío. Okay, got it.
And by those rules, you mean terrible ones.
Terrible rules, right. The white Irish cop who lives in Maspeth, who beats up people. Okay,
Anthony Anderson's like walking his way through it.
Yeah,
Cameron Byham is just like, no, it's awful. I don't even understand what's happening there.
I've never you know what, honestly, I got to be really honest. Once Sam Waterston went from being Jack McCoy, the DA, to Jack McCoy, Jack McCoy, the DA, to Jack McCoy, the prosecutor to being the DA, I gave up because he was much more interesting. It was a much more interesting dynamic. It's just so, Well,
I liked him when he was Jack the DA on the old shows. This new situation.
No, it's not worth coming back.
It's just the scripts are bad. The way they film it is bad.
Yeah.
The almost, and I hate this word, wokeness. It's like, what is this? What is this dialogue? This is just horrible.
And it's also not the way cops and lawyers talk, and damn well.
I'm so disappointed in it. It's so bad. My heart was broken. I'm like, this is my fucking show. Why is this so bad?
It's I'm not even bothering with it, to be honest.
And then I tried. I said, all right, I'm gonna go for the second episode. I'm gonna watch it because it couldn't. That was just they were nervous. It's the first episode. Blah blah.
They were nervous. What do you think? It's a live show. They were nervous. None of these people had ever acted
in
before.
my
They
mind. I'm trying
to
to make because I just was like, it can't be this bad.
They were nervous.
So now
I'm seeing Courtney Anderson's pull quote. I gave it a second time because the first time these amateur actors were nervous.
I mean, and then the second episode was even worse. And I was like, oh my God, this is a piece of fucking shit.
Time is short. Life is short. You know, I can't even be bothered about it. All right, I want to talk about some things.
Can I just say one more time?
Oh yes, please.
Because y'all all know how much I love Law and Order.
I don't know. Do you? I've never heard that before. You love Law and Order?
Oh my God. The thing
we know.
I'm so offended by how bad it is.
No, Courtney is taking this personally. Dick Wolf, if you're listening, you've broken a little black boy's heart.
You
broke
me down. I mean, you've got the fierceness happening at ABC with Abbott Elementary. That's just fucking amazing. And I'm sure you, as a teacher who works in school, you're like, this is
oh my God. If you've ever had a kid in school, been someone who works in a school, oh my God, Abbott Elementary is like, I was late to it because I watch it on Hulu. It is like you have to pause it because you're laughing so hard. And of course it's exaggerated. Of course it's not. I mean, the teachers leave the kids in the room to go talk somewhere. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You can get fired for like literally, if you're in a room with a kid, you have to put 1 foot in the hall, 1 foot in the classroom. Otherwise, it is to die for. It is one of the funniest things I have ever. I mean, every character is a cliche, and yet they're fabulous. Cheryl Lee Ralph is every veteran teacher I have.
Ralph is a amazing. National treasure.
Oh my God, she really is. I mean,
she's a national fucking treasure.
People don't realize how great she is. All right, so she's amazing. Great. The guy whose name I don't remember from Everybody Loves Chris. Fantastic.
Yeah, he's really good.
Everybody on this show is just fantastic. The mobbed up South Philly teacher who finds things. Oh, you need mats? I got a guy.
It's so funny. It's good.
It's brilliant. And the woman, oh my God, I'm blanking on the woman's name who's behind it all.
Quintilla
Brunson.
Yeah.
She's a former, did stuff on the internet. No, it's brilliant. It's hilarious. And yeah, it got 100% rating. And yay, for once, quality is winning because it's like winning all its time slots and it's fantastic. No, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculously funny. I'm just like, I can't even. Yeah, it's like a dot. All right. So
people love it. People are loving it.
It's a great show.
It's like the buzziest show.
It's a great show. It's a great show. It's a great show. It's not like something that's super popular and it sucks. It's super popular and it's funny and it's super relatable, even if you aren't in on the insides of a school, but it's very funny. And the woman that plays the principal, oh Lordy, she's a stand-up comic beyond. All right, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff I'm listening to. You talk about some of the stuff you're listening to. So a couple of singles I wanted to mention. Should we do our debate about Buffalo Stance first or after our list?
Let's get it out the way.
All right, so all joking aside, two of our favorite artists and two of the most, I think, consistently interesting artists who have really, to my mind, never made a bad album. They really haven't. So Robin and Nena Cherry, who are sort of like the Twin Towers of Swedish music. Robin has put out a remake of Buffalo Stance, which is Nena Cherry's best known. I hate the word iconic, but it really is an iconic single from her debut Rolex Sushi, a song that in its original form has not aged. So Robin has worked with a young Swedish rapper and Dev Hynes, who, AKA Blood Orange, who I think is a really interesting producer. Robin is in an unenviable situation in many ways. I happen to really like it, but Robin, if you do a note for note, vibe for vibe remake, no one is ever going to top that song. That was Nena Cherry's song. It was her entry into the world. It's like capital S. It's a fantastic song. Nothing wrong with it. If you take it too far left, then people are going to say, well, what the hell? You know what this is closest to? Because it does not sound, it's got the doon, 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 doon. It's got the riff. You know what reminds me of, sort of, kind of? Remember when we saw Nena Cherry in Brooklyn with Bill?
Mm-hmm.
And remember when she did Buffalo Stance and she stripped it down in a lot of ways? It kind of reminds me of that.
Except that was good.
I like this a lot. I do. Is it my favorite of all time? But I am willing to give.
It reminds me of an unflushed toilet.
Oh, come on, Courtney. That's not fair.
I feel so strongly about it. I wanted to listen. I didn't want a note for note remake because you can't do that. Like that's just one of those songs. I dislike this so much, and I've been trying. And it's the start of a project that clearly you can tell is about to be artists doing songs from Raw Like Sushi.
Raw Like Sushi, yeah.
Fine. Yeah. It's such a misstep. I love Robin. I like it. The vibe of it is wrong. I just don't like it. And I've been trying to make myself play it over and over and really be like, I just think it's shit. I do. I think it's shit. And
I like it. I think there's something really interesting behind it. I don't love it the way I thought I did, but I think that she is straddling. Like I said, she is straddling.
They took all the life out of the song, all of the energy. It's just, I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, but it's a different, she's doing a different interpretation.
Yes, but,
and you know what? Nana Cherry likes it, so that's good for me. I mean, I understand your opinion, but I really do like it. All right, let me tell you about a couple singles now I'm talking about, and then you can go. I have never, my cat's tail is now in the picture. We need to do a TikTok about her. All right. I have always really liked Troye Sivan. I can't put a finger on it why, but I find him talented. He is talented. There's something very interesting about him. I love that single he did with Casey Musgrave. Love that single. So he has a new single out called Wait, which is from a movie that I'm never going to watch because it's on Paramount Plus and like whatever. But it's very kind of it starts off in one sort of way, a sort of quiet song, and then it kind of builds and builds in this kind of anthemic ending. It's I really like it a lot. So that's his current single. Rosalia, who we like a lot on this show, is it's looking like she's increasingly going into the direction of more Latin trap than the flamenco, which kind of started her. And, she is now seen as a Latin artist as opposed to a Spanish artist. And there is a difference. Well, she has a song out now called Chicken Teriyaki. It's 2 minutes and 2 seconds. It's just pure energy. The video's great. But the album I am obsessed with right now is Stromae's new album, Multitude. It's his third. I really do. And people always talk about huge. He is the biggest selling French-speaking artist in the world. He is, he's at Coachella, but he sells out. He just sold out 3 shows in Montreal. He's going to play the Garden in New York, and he will sell it out. Now, I don't speak French, so I am missing a lot of what's going on, and he is known for his lyrics. He's not like just somebody who's just throwing crap out there. People always talk about there's like nothing new under the sun. This guy really is doing something I haven't heard because he's Rwandan and Belgian, so he's combining the sort of storytelling of Belgian artists like Jacques Brel. But then the beats are both dance beats. They are African conga beats. This is a little more subdued record. It's not as dancey as the last record. I just think he's fascinating. And this is his first album in 8 years.
He said he needed to take some time and live life. Took some
time, got married, had a kid. Looks like he put on a few pounds, which is fine because he was Skeletor before. And you talk about somebody who loves a performance. This is a guy who does not come out. He comes full image each time. Full production, full image. His videos are very, this is someone who is making little pieces of art, which I do appreciate because if you're going to have a video, make it interesting. Absolutely. So I'm loving that. And for reasons that to quote you, for reasons I don't understand, I've been playing a lot of Anthony Hamilton because I've always loved him.
Really?
I think he is one of the most underappreciated singers in the last few years. He really, I saw him at the Bottom Line when Coming Where I'm From was coming out, and it was just beautiful. He's got a gorgeous voice, really good songwriters. I've just been listening to that second album, Coming From Where I'm From, and
that's a great
album. I like it a lot. But the Stromae record, I don't know if it's Stromae, I don't know how you pronounce it, but Multitude, just great album. So that's me.
That is you.
What do you got? What do you got?
Well, I, Courtney Montgomery Anderson, have been listening to the fabulous Blue Lab Beats. Now, they've been around.
I have something to say about that. Sorry.
They've been around for years. They signed with Blue Note in 2000, and this is their first album on Blue Note called Motherland Journey. And it is amazing. The group is composed of two members, NKOK and Mr. DM, who, fun fact, is Kwame from D-Influence's son. So, you know, they're producers.
They're British, right? These guys are British.
And producers and multi-instrumentalist. And, you know, this album is really great. They call themselves a jazz-tronica because it's like jazz fused with electronica sort of beats and Afro beat in there. And it's just a really good, sort of like a hodgepodge mix of styles. And it's really one stellar package. I just love this album. It's been on repeat the entire weekend.
Would you like to hear what I think of it?
Love it. Yes, I would.
Okay, I do like, you know, Young Disciple. I just, sometimes to me, there's a fine line between vibe and there's no songs on this record.
There are to me.
All right, I'm just saying.
To me,
and the vocalist.
But this is a jazz-tronica record, right?
All right,
so with jazz, you have to think of it like jazz compositions because to me, they are jazz compositions.
Okay.
So
and
they're not pop
Yeah, no. I know that because I mean, I loved all the sort of talking loud stuff back in then. I just find this, and maybe this is fine. I find the singers to be, they're just too anonymous for me. And it is a hard thing because if you work
only to anonymous to you because this is they're UK-based artists and African-based artists, but they're not anonymous artists on this record. You know what I mean? It's like they're very known records on Ghetto Boy, The Tinks, you know, like Ella May.
I know Ella May. No, what I'm saying is by anonymous is that, and again, it's a fine line. If you put a huge name artist on the track, then all the attention is going to go to that, right? Mm-hmm. I have to listen to it again. It wasn't blowing me away.
Yeah, I love it. It was great.
Wasn't blowing. It was a little too. It was a little too vibey for me. I was like,
I love a vibe, and to me, I'm into that, and you know, I like the groove of it.
Yeah,
I like the composition.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and listen to it. For sure.
I think give it another. It's especially like on a Saturday. I was in here cleaning the apartment. I had it on, and I was just kind of shaking my butt while mopping the floor, and it's just a full moment. And I'm also listening to the new Bob Moses. Like I think I've talked about Bob Moses on this show before. I love Bob Moses, and they are a Canadian electronic duo. The band was formed in New York. Excuse me, this is their third album. Well, their first album they had an album called Days Gone By that I fucking loved. And then
it's not one person, it's a group.
No, it's two guys, yeah. And, you know, I just think they're extremely talented. And it's, you know, I love sexy, grown, vibey dance music. And it's called The Silence in Between. It came out on Friday, and it's a great.
Okay. They I don't think I've heard of. I will definitely. It's not like I don't like a vibe. Trust me.
I know you like vibe. Listen, sometimes some things it's an acquired taste.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've been listening to all this, you know, like Bombino and stuff. It's like it's funny when there are vocalists.
Not everything's gonna grab everybody.
Yeah, when there are vocalists on a record, because that's the only instrument I understand. I mean, I'm a fan, but I understand singing because I used to sing and I studied voice and blah 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 blah. So that I hone in on much more than but.
So you're saying none of the voices caught you. And listen, that's an ear thing, right? My mom and I used to have this thing because I love Barbra Streisand. My mother does not like the sound of her singing voice.
Me neither.
You know what I mean?
Me neither.
And I could not understand. I was like, what do you mean? You do not, how can you not like that? She was like, something about the sound of
something
her voice.
About the voice.
It
something
does
about
not
the voice.
Appeal to my ears.
Yeah. You can acknowledge the talent. I acknowledge, listen, it's the same way with Mary. I know people who cannot stand Mary J. Blige. I, on the other hand, every time I hear that woman sing, I'm like, yep.
Mm-hmm.
She's going on tour with Shaka Khan opening up for her, which, it's
all is it a tour or is it the Mother's Day festival that's happening it's in Atlanta? It's Mother's Day.
Okay, I think you're right.
And Shaka's on that bill. Yeah.
I think.
part of like women's health. It's like a women's health weekend. There's a lot of female artists, and yeah, she's the headliner.
I'm so glad being a woman is trendy this year.
It's trendy this year, honey.
It's so trendy. I'm going to see like, hey, it's trendy. I'm so glad that finally, after 9 billion years of being a woman, it's trendy. No, but you're right. I mean, it's you can't. I got into a discussion the other night at a party. A party, by the way, where I was Greek dancing with Greek people. So much fun. Yeah, it was fun. I got into a discussion. Listen, it's like if someone tells you their favorite flavor of ice cream is vanilla, you cannot tell them that it's not. Your favorite flavor is chocolate.
It's true.
It just is. And there's room for vanilla and chocolate. But some things just hit you and some things don't.
You know what else?
And that's all there is to it. Unless it out and out sucks. Oh, you want to real quick talk about our rock and roll?
Hold on. What else? Yes, because we do. And I want to go into Duran Duran. What we missed that's really fucking good, Robert Glasper's Black Radio 3. That came out a couple of weeks ago. I've had it
that long ago?
Yes. It came out like 2-3 weeks ago. I've had it in my box. Okay. It's really good.
All right, I've loved that
whole series. So, you know what I mean? It kind of like slipped. This is what, I understand that people don't like to be overly marketed to. I absolutely understand that. But I do believe marketing in the music industry is really important. And, I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine who works at a label last night, and we kind of got into a little bit of thing because I wanted to always be about the music, and her energy was like, well, the marketing now is TikTok and, the person having a relationship and all of these things so we can capitalize and really get a song out there. And I'm like, wow. So now you're telling me this is why people also, I feel like, don't love the labels. It's like, so your idea is you've got a bunch of highly paid people sitting there, but you guys can't come up with a marketing plan unless the person has a relationship that you can exploit or something that you can exploit in TikTok. You guys don't know how to like market and promote music anymore. It's just such a, and so now you get things like Robert Glasper, right? He's not going to be doing any of that shit. And it's like, you didn't know the record came and it slipped past me too. It didn't come through any of my stuff. This is what happens with not having real music magazines anymore.
Music magazines or people who are more concerned about hits on the internet.
Right.
Then Robert Glasper is never going to have, he's been nominated for Grammys. He's highly, Robert Glasper is not going to have a top 10 record. Okay, full stop. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Right.
It's just become like, fucking TikTok. I see certain people on TikTok. I'm like, bitch, you are too old to be on TikTok, says the woman who did a TikTok last week, but I was 40. That's just for fun. We do it. We can do it. But you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like you're marketing to teenagers. Robert Glasper is a prestige artist. He will always get his due in that realm. All right, let's talk we've been talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I have nothing to say.
Well, let's talk Duran Duran, right? Because this, to me, they're a dark horse. But when you really think about Duran Duran, because I think with the voters, they might be a dark horse, right? I do think with some of the voters. But they kind of have a lot of fucking accomplishments, man. Like, they really do. Like, they've sold over 100 million records. I didn't realize it was that many. They've sold, literally, back when people bought records. They were one of the first bands to use video screens above the stage at a stadium tour. Like that whole concept of having videos behind you. They were the first band on a major label to sell a digital download. That was in 1997 of Electric Barbarella. And they created one of the first video albums and was one of the first commercially successful ones. So I don't know. What do you think? It's like they were all over
honestly,
MTV. They kind of
none of that matters to the people who vote in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's like, to be very honest.
But shouldn't it be about influence and what you did with the culture? I feel like that should matter.
No. But the fact that they have a video screen up is not.
I'm saying all of the. But if you. Things that are normal now that weren't normal. Yeah. If you're part of ushering in a generation, you do it and then everybody does it.
Yeah.
You sell a gazillion records. I just, things I didn't know about them, but I also feel like people think of them as this brand that had pretty boys in it that a bunch of girls like. I don't even know if people realize that they accomplished as much as they've accomplished.
I like 2 songs. I talk about not liking somebody's voice. Simon Le Bon to me cannot sing. Sorry, can't sing.
Well,
They didn't mean anything to me. By the time they came out, I was a little too old. I understand, they're catchy songs. I like them more now at the time. They didn't honestly mean anything to me because their influences to me, it was so obvious who they were influenced by. And I was listening to the people they were imitating in a way. Not imitating, but the people who influenced them.
Yes. But now we're talking about, we're talking about all of these people who are up for nomination. So what would you say? What would be your pitch to someone who's saying, I don't know who to vote for, Duran Duran, what is it about them?
I think that they brought a sort of gloss and gleam to, they kind of took that British kind of stylized stuff and really made it bigger. They did write great pop songs. I mean, my two favorite songs of theirs were done sort of after their influence, Ordinary World and Come Undone.
Yeah, Come Undone.
Yeah, Come Undone and Ordinary World to make. Yeah,
but I love Rio. Oh, I used to love
No, I'm just saying that.
Rio.
Yeah, I think that what you're saying, I think that they're viewed sort of as a fluff band and they're not, they have more substance. I think if they weren't, with the makeup and cute and stuff like that, they might have been taken more seriously. If their fans hadn't been screaming girls, they might have been taken a little more seriously. I think now in their twilight years, they are taken more seriously, mainly because they've stuck it out. They've always been recorded.
And listen, and you and I know this. The hardest thing to do is to write pop songs. It really is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, no, it's very hard.
To write
smart pop songs.
And pop songs that have lasted for generations. It's really difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be voting for them.
Shit.
But
now it takes 6 people to write a 2-minute song.
I understand 100% why they are nominated.
Yeah,
100%. They represent a chunk of the British music. I understand 100%. I will not be voting for them, but I can't sit there and look at that nomination and go, what the hell are they doing here? They are totally worthy.
I will say this, though. I would be 1,000% shocked if they got it. I would, because
not this year.
Not this year.
Not this year. I would be surprised too. But they deserve to be in. But I think you're right. I think it's not going to be this year.
Do you think this is the year for Eurythmics?
God, I hope so. I mean, honestly, if Duran Duran got in before the Eurythmics, I hope so. There seems to be a little more energy behind the Eurythmics this year, and I hope so. I mean, no, this is not a disrespect. I'm not comparing Duran and Duran to Eurythmics.
Absolutely.
But I think Eurythmics
they were groundbreaking to me. Like
they really were. And just Annie Lennox's solo career alone, for crying out loud. But I mean, I don't want to say, I hate the you can only have one. You can only have one British group, The
crime is going to be the thing that I see happening. It's going to be Eminem getting in before Tribe Called Quest. That's
a done deal.
That's going to be the crime.
That's a done deal. Yeah. But you wanted to, I got it. Like I said,
and people have their ballots now, right? The ballots are in. People have. Oh, is that it? Is that what it looks like?
It's big. Oops. It's a big ballot.
Oh, wow.
And then you flip. I'm showing this to you on audio,
and I'm full gagging. I'm like, ooh.
It's a big ballot with little bios of everybody.
Oh, so it gives you all of the information.
All the information, and then you have your little thing here, and you rip it out, and then
you mail it back.
And they do pay for the postage. Thank you very much.
And when do you have to mail it by?
Oh, I always wait to the last minute. Right. It's early this year, April 29th. Has to be postmarked by April 29th. And it's only five people this year. It's a hard ballot this year. You wanted to talk about Lionel Richie too?
Lionel Richie's an interesting one. Lionel Richie, because it's almost like, why aren't you already in there? Because that man, I mean, okay, let's just even think about his work with the Commodores before we even get to the solo work. And I know this is for his solo work, but
it's just him, not him and the Commodores.
But the amount of songs that this man has written, from the Commodores to his solo work, to the songs he wrote for Kenny Rogers and all of these other people, he is a one-man powerhouse, and just on his writing alone deserves to be in there.
Is he in the Country Music Hall of Fame? Songwriter Hall of Fame?
I believe he's in the songwriter.
Yeah.
Thing.
But the country music one. Because I remember seeing one of those CMA shows and he was up there on stage with people.
Well, because remember, he wrote songs.
No, I know why. I'm just asking, is he actually...
I don't know. I don't think he's...
Yeah, I wonder... All right. Yeah, all right.
It's another one, right? This is a hard...
He's a great songwriter. Yes. He's a great songwriter. I would have him in as a songwriter before I'd have him as... Because as far as I'm concerned, please don't... No disrespect. He will never, in my mind, in Amy Linden's mind, be forgiven for All Night Long and Dancing on the Ceiling. He will never be
huge records, though.
I know, but I don't care.
Worldwide records.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people like a lot of things. Yeah,
I hated Dancing on the Ceiling.
Dancing on the Ceiling is hard.
But I mean,
and I know it was the 80s. I know it was the 80s. Mm-hmm. We dressed weird in the 80s, and Bob Giraldi videos. But. I mean,
fucking what a feeling to be dancing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, oh my God. As I'm lying on the floor in a club going, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. Great songwriter, not a huge fan of his voice. Not that he's a bad singer. I like him better when he's rougher with the Commodores, that voice.
Have you ever seen him live?
I think he has a very good chance.
Have you ever seen him live?
Yes, with the Commodores.
I saw him live by himself, and he was amazing.
I'm sure he is.
Forget how many hits he had. I mean, everything he said was like, oh my God, write this song. Oh my God, write this
song. As a songwriter, I think he's fantastic. But that said, I think he's getting in this year.
He should.
I think he is. Well, everybody on that list deserves to be in, but I think he's getting in. I think he's checking a bunch of boxes. I think that the nominees, but I think the nominees, I think the inductees this year are going to skew much older. And I think it's Eminem is going to be the young gun on the list. You know, I think it's going to skew much more traditional and much more people scratching their head going, is this rock and roll than usual? And I'm not mad at that. Yeah. I'm not mad at people realizing that rock and roll is not just a bunch of guys banging their heads with a guitar. Right. I think that there's some mojo behind him this year.
So if you had to take a guess, because I'm not trying to get you in any trouble, who do you think the 5 are going to be?
It's not getting me into trouble. Dolly. Okay, here's who I think. Dolly, Pat Benatar, Eminem, Carly Simon, Lionel Richie. That's who I think is going to get in.
You think Carly's going to do it?
I think so. I think. But I think Duran Duran.
Isn't Judas Priest on that list, though?
Yeah, I think Duran Duran could be the dark horse.
No, I think Judas is going to get in.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think Judas will replace Carly on that.
I hope so. I'm not we've said on the show. I am not a heavy metal fan, but they deserve it.
We have said this before. I cannot believe that Judas Priest isn't in there. Yeah. I was like, really?
Yeah. All right. You want to take us home, my friend?
Take me home. Thank you guys for listening. You know what to do. Follow us. Star, dance, do it all. It's been great. We love you. You know where to find us. Remember to star, rate. Thank you. We're on Pantheon Podcast Network.
Thank you.
Remember, there's over 70 shows there. Check us out there. Check out all the other shows. You will love it. We love you. We gotta go.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.